Welcome to the Quilters Coach podcast, where we stitch together life coaching and creativity to help quilters lose weight without losing their minds. I'm Dara Thomason, and after losing 50 pounds and keeping it off since 2019, all through perimenopause and menopause, not by following diets, not by counting calories or tracking steps. Rather, I've lost this weight and kept it off by learning to feel my feelings. I discovered something revolutionary. You don't have a knowledge problem. You have a thinking problem. In my years of coaching fellow quilters and creatives, I've watched women transform their lives by changing their thoughts first, and then their bodies follow. Because here's what the weight loss industry doesn't want you to know. All that time and energy you've been spending on complicated plans, you don't need it. What you need is to understand your mind. Today's episode is going to show you exactly how. Welcome to the Quilters Coach podcast, episode 220, how hating math will guarantee your next breakthrough. All right, so very strange title, and I promise you it's going to be worth it. But how many of you hate math? Or is there a subject at school that you just couldn't stand? This episode is going to show you how going back to something that you hated, something you felt really bad at and really terrible, is actually going to be the key to your success. So I want you to stay tuned, but before I go into explaining all of that, I want to share a client win. This win might surprise you. So I have a lady in the membership who joined, and she has been trying really hard to quit bread. And in fact, I told her, you don't have to quit bread. You can have bread once a day. So then she felt relieved and made the commitment. This is when she's going to eat the bread. This is the kind of bread. She lives in Europe. And so bread in her family and her tradition, it's a big part of it. The way that she was taught to eat always had at least bread one time a day. So she comes to the call, I give her permission to have bread, and then the next week I ask her, how's it going with the bread? She's like, oh, I haven't really, it's still coming up. I'm like, no problem. Let's figure it out. Let's see what's going on. So we try some different strategies. We resolve some of the issues, and she's like, okay, I got this. I can eat bread once a day. So she comes again the next week. This is now the second week in a row we've been coaching on her and the bread. I said, how's it going? She goes, well, I was really sick. And so I went to the pharmacist and they said I should eat licorice. When I'm coughing, it's good to have more bread. The reason why this is a win is she is finally not punching herself in the face and giving up and saying, I'm a loser, I'm stupid, something's wrong with me, I'm broken, I'm just gonna eat bread, I guess, and I'm just broken. No. She comes to the calls every week and says, Dara, I really want to only eat bread once a day, but I'm not doing it. I need help. It is incredible to finally give her a space and tools and understanding where she can finally say, I don't know what to do. I don't have good coping strategies. I don't know how to work through this. And I'm embarrassed and I'm stressed and I don't know how to cope. And so the win is, isn't this amazing? She is finally valuing herself enough to come to the calls and say, guess what? I'm not being successful and I don't know why. As we worked on a few things, we kind of dug a little bit deeper of where is this attachment to the bread, to the licorice, to the candies. And she realized that in the past, she had her daughter and she had to switch jobs. And when she switched jobs, she wasn't as happy with her second job. She actually really liked her first job. And so she never really talked about it. She never, I would assume there's some sort of martyr in us or feeling like, we have to have a sacrifice but then we can get resentful. Don't know how to deal with that. And so the licorice, the bread, those have been her consolation prizes. And so she's just gained 5 pounds every year, 3 to 5 pounds. And she's realizing that so much of it has to do with deeper reasons. The more that she can bring this up, the more transformation she can have. If this story is resonating with you and you listen to this podcast and you think, wow, stories like this are why I love coming to this podcast. I love listening to it. It's so inspirational. And if you're thinking, I want this transformation too, would you help other women find this message? Just scroll down and tap 5 stars. It helps creative women like you discover my podcast. I'd really appreciate it. Let's dive into this podcast. I wanted to share a breakthrough with you about what actually happens in our brain and bodies. A lot of us who struggle with weight loss become really disconnected from our body. That's why we are gaining weight and we don't even realize it so much. And we go on autopilot. Next thing we know, our pants don't fit us. And then we get new pants and we're like, what's going on? So we have to learn how to join our brain and our nervous system together. I want you to think, what is a result that you want in your life right now? So is there a certain quilt that you want to finish? Is it you want to be more productive during the day? Is it the weight that you want to take off? Do you want to have stronger connections with your husband or your kids if you're married, or be more successful in your job? What is the one thing you want right now? If I had a magic wand and I was your fairy godmother and I could come down and say, abracadabra, ta-da, it's done. Like, what would be that magic wand? What would your wish be? Why don't you have that result? Why don't you have it? Why don't you have that weight loss or that connection or the finished quilt or the organized garage? Why don't you have that? What is your theory of why you don't have it? Just come up with some ideas. Now, I want you to think about how you feel because you don't have that result. Do you feel discouraged? Do you feel frustrated? Do you feel defeated? What is that feeling? As you're going through your mind, and I want you to open up the channel between our thoughts and our feelings, okay? Because that's where emotions come from. They come from our thoughts. So you open this up and say, what do I feel? I think I really want to be 20 pounds down, and I don't have that result, and it makes me feel so frustrated, or it makes me feel discouraged, whatever that is, okay? Now, I want you to let that feeling be in your body. I know, trust me, okay? I know, you're like, no, Dara, I don't want to feel that way. It's okay. It's just an emotion. It won't hurt you. You're here with me. It's okay. So let that emotion go in your body. And now I want you to ask yourself, what is that emotion? Am I frustrated? Am I discouraged? Doesn't matter. Just let yourself feel that emotion, discomfort of some sort, okay? Now that you've allowed it in your body and you're like, ugh, this is gross. It's kind of like, I always compare this to like a rotten potato. Have you ever had a rotten potato? Oh, it's like one of the most disgusting smells in the world. So gross. But you have to get rid of the potato. Then you have to clean out the container or the drawer or whatever. And it's like the whole time you're like, ugh, gross. But then once it's done. And you're like, okay, I don't have to worry about all the other potatoes getting rotten and infected. So this is the part that's going to bring it together. I want you to think of the first time in your life that you felt that feeling. Let your body just let you know, okay? Now, I'm going to share a story. When I was in grade 6, we lived in Ottawa, which is the capital of our country. My dad worked for the government, and we went out to this really cool restaurant. And it had fried ice cream, which I loved. So we went to this really cool Mexican restaurant. downtown Ottawa. It was very cool. Our family did not go out for dinner very often. And in front of us was these two ladies, very refined, very cool ladies speaking French. And my dad spoke French, and I thought, oh my goodness, I need to learn to speak French. So I made the commitment. I said to my parents, I want to go to late immersion, grade 7 and 8, and I want to learn French really bad. I had a big desire. So I decided to do it. It was frustrating. It was hard, but I just worked really hard on it. My dad helped me every night. I loved being able to say, I'm learning French, and I'm going to be able to be like these cool ladies who can speak this language and other people don't know what they're saying. They taught math in French. So when you're learning a new language and now you're having to learn math in another language, that wasn't their best pedagogy, okay? Wasn't the best idea. So because of that, I missed some pretty critical steps in math. I already had some struggles in grade 6. Remember, in grade 5, I had a really mean grade 5 teacher, Mr. Johnson. And we also moved from one province to another, and I missed some steps there. So I already felt like I was kind of behind in math. So now I'm even more behind because I don't really understand all the math that we did in grade 7 and 8. And so now I'm in grade 9, and I actually stopped doing French immersion because my high school had a theater arts program that was tied to the Shaw Festival in Niagara-on-the-Lake, which was like a really amazing opportunity that I didn't want to miss out on. So I find myself in grade 9 math, and I am struggling. I feel so dumb. I hate feeling dumb. I just hate it. I can feel it in my body right now. That vibration of looking around the classroom and knowing that other people are getting it and I am not understanding it. It feels really, really bad to me. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to memorize the steps. So I'm looking at the models, the examples, and I'm trying to see their patterns. But the problem is I don't have the fundamentals. And I also don't understand as a 13-year-old girl that I'm just missing some core concepts. If I just went back to grades 6 and 7 and reviewed and worked on that, then I could build up my skill set and I would be okay. I'm smart in other areas, but I didn't know that. And I was embarrassed to ask for help. I felt so silly and I was just struggling in silence. So I barely passed. I think I got 8% or something in math. And people are like, well, math isn't always good for everyone. And my mom and dad weren't super strong in math. So then I go into grade 10. Again, I feel this terrible pit in my stomach. I hate being in the class. I struggle so hard. It's just a hard situation. My bedroom, there's 4 bedrooms upstairs, and I'd go at the top of the stairs. I'd be in my room trying so hard to study. I remember standing at the top of the stairs and just yelling and saying, I hate math. I hate it. I just want a computer chip that you can just put in my brain. And this is like back before, no one even really had computers in their own house. So I just want you to put in like a computer chip in my brain. I just don't know how to do this. And I would feel so defeated, so discouraged. My mom got me a tutor, this old guy from church, and then she got me this lady from church who had all these kids, who was really, really smart. But it just felt like a lost cause. This feeling that I have, being at the top of the stairs and feeling so defeated, just vibrates through my body. And I try so hard to avoid that feeling. In the past, I would use coconut and sweetened condensed milk. I would mix those up. I would make chocolate chip cookies. I would make cinnamon buns. I would have ice cream. I would overeat at dinner, so I'd be more full. Even though I would eat healthy things throughout the day, I would just try so hard to avoid that feeling. And I didn't know that all I needed to do was just feel it. I'm sharing this story with you because today I had a coaching session. I brought an issue that I have that I'm trying to work through. And I present my case. And sometimes we do that. Sometimes we present our case like, this is an impossible problem to solve. There's no way we can resolve this. Our brain has worked so hard at proving that we can't be successful. So I have this whole story. It's like, oh, we went from one province to the other, and grade 5, and the teacher was mean. And then grade 6, I tried to catch up, and then I did French. I had 3 teachers in grade 8, and they taught in French. And it was like, I'm trying so hard to prove that I can't be successful in math. So this is the thing. I eventually went to university, and luckily for me, they took my French mark. It compensated for my very bad math mark, and I got into university. So I went through all 4 years of university, and I became a school teacher. This is the part that's really interesting. I started teaching grade 5 and 6 math. And as I was teaching grade 5 and 6 math, I realized those fundamentals that I had missed. As I was teaching it, I was like, oh. So instead of memorizing all of these long division and multiplication, I understood why we were doing that. And I thought, oh, for crying out loud. No wonder I struggled with these higher concepts, because I was missing out on these fundamentals. As I learn and teach women weight loss, so many of the fundamentals that they don't have come from, how do we have healthy coping strategies? How do we have feeling our feelings instead of eating them? How do we allow other people to be them, or how do we allow ourselves not to be a perfectionist? And how do we not take our mistakes personally? I tell this story because all of us have these emotional experiences in our life that provide us with such a level of discomfort that we work really hard at avoiding them. And so the after effect of avoiding what we think is the hard thing keeps us away from progressing. My avoidance of math led to frustration and disappointment, and I never got to the root of it. I never built my own foundation until years later. As a school teacher, I was able to approach teaching math in a very different way that was very productive and also really, really helpful to my students, because I knew how hard it was to, like, the emotional piece of how hard. And in fact, there are people out there in the world that help math teachers help their students overcome the trauma of the math story we tell ourselves. So when we have these experiences of, like, and I would call them like a small tree trauma. I literally remember myself standing at the top of the stairs, just crying and thinking, I'm so stupid, I'm so dumb. Then we go into what's called self-preservation mode. And we either have the fight response, I hate the school, I hate this. We go to flight. I would clean my room. I would organize, I would clean. Or we could go to freeze, where we just numb out. We just listen to the radio or read books over and over. Or we people please, like go and help my mom and be like, Mom, let me clean the closet. Let me make dinner for everyone. Let me do the laundry, right? People please. That's just our way of, because we say to ourselves, well, I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. So I have to prove myself, or I have to stay in the tribe. And my mom and dad, they expected me. None of my other siblings felt the pressure to go to university, but I knew my parents expected me to go to university. And I knew that if I didn't get good math marks, I couldn't go to university. And that would be very disappointing to my parents. So I want you to reflect on what you want right now. And I want you to answer, why don't you have it? Inside my membership, what we do is we look at, why does it make sense that you don't have what you want. And then we have tools for our brain to work through those situations and get results. With the success I told you about this client, she has not resolved her issue with bread yet and sugar. She hasn't. But she hasn't given up. And that's the key. Every time she asks for coaching, she discovers something new about herself. She also realized 2 weeks ago that her husband can eat whatever he wants and doesn't gain any weight. And she wants to be like her husband. She wants to join him. She doesn't want to feel left out. And so she eats the things. She also realized a few weeks ago that she's not doing the same level of athletics that she used to do when she was in high school and a young adult. She realizes, oh, no wonder I've set myself up for failure. I'm not moving my body as much. I'm eating like a man with a different kind of metabolism, with a different lifestyle, who's very physical, and I'm not. So the more that she comes to the coaching calls and says, I still haven't figured this problem out, I'm like, no problem. Let's use some tools to find out what's really going on. So me learning how I reacted with my math situation has given me a lot of insight. It's not that I'm not smart enough. It's not that I'm not clever enough. It's just that I haven't been curious enough to see what's really going on and brave enough to face it. And the more that we can be brave and the more we can be curious and the more we can be committed to ourselves, the more success we're going to have. I have seen so many women inside my membership just be so brave and saying, this is really hard. I don't like feeling, no one's dumb, but they don't feel smart. They don't feel good about themselves. It's very uncomfortable. It's the same way with free motion quilting. I was terrible, but I was determined. So I started doodling. I got U-Haul paper, folded it, and I put it on a clipboard, and I'd watch a movie at night, and I'd doodle. I got a doodle book from the dollar store, and I would just doodle. We'd go in the car, my husband would be driving, I'd doodle. And I was like, wow, this looks terrible. And I'm like, hey, just keep going, Dara. And I would then I would get a bunch of ugly fabric, and I'd make quilt sandwiches, and I'd put on some music, and I put on my darning foot on my sit-down machine, and I would just go for it. It looked terrible. It's awful. And I was like, yeah, this looks terrible. I was like, yeah, but I'm proud of you. Keep going. Just like a kid, when I was learning to play the piano, we made so many mistakes. But as a parent, do you say, stop making so many mistakes in your piano practicing? No, you say, way to go. Keep going. All right. I want you to answer that question. What is the reason why you don't have the success that you want in that area? And what is it worth to you in your life to have someone to help you work it out? That is what we do inside of my membership. And you are not alone. There's so many other women, and it's incredible to watch their progression. And I want that for you. I want that for you because there is so much more to life than being afraid and standing at the top of the stairs, still feeling like you're this 14-year-old who can't get math. I can promise you, you can do it. You just need the help and support to do that. So if that is something that you want to do in your life, I invite you to check out my membership.
If you aren't loving your current life and hear yourself saying things like, I should be happier, I should be getting more done, or question how productive and fulfilled you are, this podcast is for you. I'm Dara Thomason, professional quilter turned life coach for quilters, where I show you how to overcome obstacles like perfectionism, people pleasing, overeating, overcomplicating life, so that you can really start to enjoy your life by learning and using tools for your brain to help you transform your everyday living. Are you ready to make these changes? I'm ready to help. Let's start your transformation one UFO at a time.